Hello my spooky people. In today's video I'm going to be making a new bag out of leather. I am not a professional leather worker. I try my hardest. I don't have a lot of the experience or the fancy tools. I do have some experience working with leather. You've seen my coffin bag in the background of some of my videos for a while now, and that is my main purse. She opens up the flap there. It's fully lined with this, like, I don't know, astrology type fabric. It's a backpack style purse. And yeah, it's been a great purse. But for my upcoming New York trip, I need something bigger. I need something that can also pass as carry-on for my upcoming flight, but be big enough to carry a lot of stuff and help me not need to check a bag. For my bag, I need it to be big. I do want some pouches and some organization built into this purse. I also want to make it a messenger style bag, or like an over-the-shoulder bag that can turn into a backpack when I need it. I do have a concept sketch, so let's go talk about that and then work on my new bag.
When I first decided I wanted to make a bag for this trip, I first looked at some other bags, shapes, and designs, and really thought about what I would need to carry in this bag. As I was scrolling, I was also doodling some basic ideas, and eventually I landed on this one. I decided on another boxy design, kinda like my coffin, where the main body is just a big old box that's super open and easy to put some large items in. My leather is also pretty stiff, so I can't count on being able to turn it out into a proper seam, and I needed to keep that in mind as I was in this concept design phase. After all of that, I added a bunch of pouches to the outside and some O-rings to be able to turn the shoulder bag into a backpack when I need it. And finally, I decided to keep with the flap and zipper combo with some magnetic snaps to help keep it all down. Now that I have a decent concept figured out, including some measurements, I can jump right into making the pattern out of some paper. So I just wanted to show what the paper pattern looks like, kind of all put together. It is kind of big, but that's kind of the point of this bag. It's gonna end up kind of like a small messenger bag in the size and shape. This is the back. There'll be that pocket. Front flap right there, this pocket, and then another pocket here, and then there's gonna be, this is going to be made out of mesh, and then I'm just gonna do like some bias tape over top of that right there. Now to just make it in leather. Once my pattern is figured out, I can cut it out of my leather and my lining fabric. I'll first cut out the mesh for the side pockets, and then the lining fabric, making sure to leave extra space around the edges to fold over later since I didn't include any seam allowance to the pattern. I found this super soft offcut that came with 2 large cuts in it already, which makes it pretty hard to use for most projects, but I'm happy I was able to use it for this one. I'll also trace out and cut the leather pieces, trying to be as careful as I can to not be wasteful here. I'll cut the pieces right up against each other and try to place it so I'm not leaving any scraps that I might not be able to use later. Once it's all cut out, I will dye all of my leather pieces black. I'll then indent where I want my spider webs to be painted later on the back pouch, the front pouch, and the main flap. Now that I have dye on this leather, I see why I got this for so cheap. Oh well, it adds character, right? I marked where I want to cut around the web edges on the outer flap, the front pouch, and the back pouch, so I'll go ahead and trim that down now. Once all my webs are drawn, I'll go over it with some white leather paint and paint the lines of my webs. I need to do some prep work now before I line the pieces of the bag. So first I'm attaching the rings on the side pieces by folding over the tabs on the top around the rings and then setting it with 2 rivets. While I'm here, I'll also prepare the 3 small straps I'll need for the remaining rings, and I'll finish any remaining edges with some dye. Finally, I can line these pieces. I personally don't like the floating lining style most bags have, so this is how I line my bags. I'm spreading some leather glue on the backs of each piece, and then I'll press the cloth piece down that I cut out earlier onto that glue, making sure to cover the entire piece and pressing it down firmly. I'll roll the edges inward so there's no raw exposed edges, and then glue those down as well. I'm going to go ahead and set the top edges of all 4 pouches and the outer flap, first by establishing the stitching line and then hammering the holes that I will actually sew through later. I'm going to stitch the top edge of each of the front panels, including the web around the flap, and the web edge of the back pouch with this mostly decorative, but very extra stitch that I put way too much time and effort into. I don't know if this is a real stitch, I was just kind of going with what I thought looked neat and also helped hold the edge of the fabric down so it didn't become an issue later on. And I don't know, I kind of like how it looks with the webs. Alrighty, so I wanted to take a moment to just talk about straps for a second. Years and years ago, way before I started working with genuine leather, at the very beginnings of me crafting, I made a thigh bag because I had a need for it. I didn't really understand slides back then, and now I also don't really like slides on straps. So in order to get around that and to still have an adjustable strap, I made this. It's pretty bad. You can see just an open seam on the back. It's hand sewn and very lumpy and not super great, but the concept was pretty strong. But because I didn't have slides for one reason or another, I needed a slightly adjustable strap that could go from my shoulders to around my waist because it was a hip bag back then. So I created this. It's got D-rings on it every now and then. So when I needed to make the straps shorter, all I did was loop the main strap through a ring on the purse or on the bag, and then just use the clip, hook it onto a ring, and suddenly my strap was shorter. I'm gonna keep this concept. I'm gonna use this concept for my straps for my webs bag. It's a really strong concept. I kind of like it. I don't really like slides. I also forgot to order them. So yeah, I'm gonna do something similar, except instead of D-rings and instead of these little straps holding the D-rings on, I'm just gonna have one main strap and then a thinner strap going down the entire length of the strap and riveted in a few places every now and then so that whenever I want, instead of going through a D-ring, it'll just go right through the top strap up there, kind of like that. I also have these cute as heck little coffin clips that I'm pretty excited to use. I've already got my straps cut out because I needed to do that on the floor and I was not about to film myself crawling on the floor this morning. I'm gonna take a break from sewing for like a little bit because my hands are buzzing still from the sewing marathon yesterday. And I'm gonna make the straps and then assemble the whole bag because there's not much else to do. So let's go do that. So I need 4 straps total, 2 thick and 2 thin. Once they're cut out, I gotta dye them, including their edges. Then I'll rivet the thinner strap to the thicker strap at even intervals, including at the ends where I'll loop it onto these adorable coffin-shaped clips, and then that's the straps done. More hammering next. I need to situate the remaining rings before I can sew the bag together. 1 on the center back and 2 on the bottom at the sides. And then I'll set the remaining stitch holes along the sides and bottom of the whole bag. And finally, I have to sew all of this together by hand. This took multiple days and my hands barely survived. It's about here with the back fully sewn together already that I realized I really didn't like the look of just a plain saddle stitch as the only one going around the border of the bag, but I did like what I did with the pocket edges, so I'm gonna go back and quickly add an extra loop around the edges of the back seams and then do the edge style stitch that I was doing with the pocket edges to the rest of the bag. Finally, we're on to the finishing details. I'm gonna get my magnetic snaps installed first. Next, I'll make the zipper panel that will close the bag. And finally, when the zipper panel is put together, I need to sew it on by hand to the lining at the top, and when that is done, so is my new bag. I love this bag so much. So let's get into it. This is probably my best purse bag thing that I've ever made, and I love it. I love it so much. It is the best and the worst for a few reasons. I added a zipper kind of last second. There wasn't a zipper in the original design or concept, but I added a zipper, and you can definitely tell it was an afterthought. Those stitches are very visible. I've already been using this bag as my daily carry, and it's fantastic. I don't think I could have made a better bag. This is my favorite bag I think I've ever made. I love having a way too big bag, and I love just being able to bring whatever I need, just whenever. So the straps. The 2 straps means I can turn it into a backpack whenever I want, and my little system works. I can also hook other things into the little gaps between the rivets. The snap on the back here isn't quite fully aligned perfectly, which is kind of a problem for leather that's this stiff, but it's whatever. This pouch is always going to be against me, so it's not like it's going to spill whatever is in there, but the button is not fully aligned and it kind of makes me sad every time I have to use it. The snaps on the front line up perfectly and don't really give me an issue. But speaking of the snaps, I am kind of sad that they're not as strong as I thought they would be. When I imagined this and designed this, I had in mind some snaps that I used for my wallet years ago. Those are ridiculously strong. Even after using my wallet for years, I still struggle with opening that thing because the magnets are so strong. I'm kind of sad that these ones aren't that strong. I wish they were. They function. They're not necessarily for security, but just to kind of keep the flap from flopping. And I think I hit my goal for it to be another, like a
carry-on type bag. The backpack mode is a little bit awkward just because of how the bag is shaped, and I think the ring back here is just a little bit too low. I think if I raised that up, it would be more acceptable as a backpack, but also it's the shape of the bag that's making it awkward. But I think it's more of a necessity thing for when I put that in there, because again, I do have scoliosis, so having uneven weight with a messenger bag like this isn't always great for my back. So having the ability to change it to a backpack and have that even weight again is very important for me, and I'm glad I was able to put in this little bit, and also those down there. The pouches on the side are fantastic, but they are just a bit tight for what I want to use them for. Currently I use one for an umbrella and one for my keys. The umbrella is very tight, the keys are fine. I couldn't be happier with how this turned out. This bag is exactly what I needed it to be, and the seams are a little bit messy. They're really thick, and I don't have those big industrial sewing machines, and this leather would not turn out very cleanly, so that was a choice that I made that I was just gonna have to be fine with. And I mean, for the most part, I am fine with these seams. They do match more with the spiderweb motif of the bag, so it's not like it's detracting from the overall look. I am so glad it's done. I needed over a week to recover from this. My fingers still have holes in them. There's a reason I don't make bags very often. This was rough on my hands. I had to go slow and try and pace myself and make sure that I wasn't like killing my hands all in one go. Even after a week, I didn't feel like I had any strength in my hands, so I can't make a bag very often, but when I do, I usually like them a lot more than I think I would have liked a store-bought bag. But anyway, I'll go ahead and end the video here. If you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment with a spider web emoji. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Why am I like this? Literally, why the frick am I like this?